There is something inside you that does not care about truth, only survival. Something ancient, impulsive, emotional. Something that can ruin relationships, destroy years of your life, and still convince you it was protecting you. And the most disturbing part? Most people never realize it's there. This is the dark truth about human nature. And once you see it, you may never look at yourself the same way again. You tell yourself you're in control. But watch what happens when someone ignores your message. Suddenly your mood changes. You check your phone again, and again, and again, trying to act calm externally, while something inside you quietly panics. Or maybe you finally lie down to sleep, and out of nowhere, your brain replays a conversation from 3 years ago, a moment you should have defended yourself, something embarrassing you said, a version of the past you still wish you could rewrite. So your mind keeps editing the scene, making you smarter, stronger, more respected, the hero of the story. Most people never notice how automatic their lives really are. They think, my thoughts are me, my emotions are truth, my reactions are justified. But human beings are far less conscious than they imagine. And that changes everything. Human nature hides itself inside ordinary moments. That's why almost nobody sees it. Your brain was not designed to make you peaceful. It was designed to keep you alive. And survival does not prioritize happiness. It prioritizes threat detection, social approval, fear avoidance, and emotional protection, even when the danger isn't real anymore. Psychologists describe this as the survival brain. Human nature hides itself inside ordinary moments. That's why almost nobody sees it. The emotional system reacts first. The rational mind arrives later to explain why the reaction was reasonable, which means something terrifying is happening constantly. You feel first, then create a story afterward. That's why anger feels justified in the moment. That's why fear feels logical. That's why insecurity disguises itself as certainty. Your mind is not objective. It is protective. They are two nervous systems waiting to defend themselves, waiting to avoid rejection. And there's another uncomfortable truth. Most conversations are not people listening. Human beings desperately want connection, waiting to feel important. Most conversations are not people listening. They are two nervous systems waiting to defend themselves, waiting to feel important, waiting to avoid rejection. Human beings desperately want connection, while simultaneously protecting themselves from vulnerability. That contradiction shapes almost everything. And this is where human nature becomes dangerous, because unconscious patterns, repeated long enough, begin to feel like personality. The cost of unconscious living is enormous, but it rarely looks dramatic at first. It looks ordinary. A relationship slowly losing warmth. A person constantly exhausted, without understanding why. Someone scrolling for hours because silence feels uncomfortable. Someone saying, "I'm fine," while internally falling apart. And over time, human beings adapt to emotional disconnection so deeply that numbness begins to feel normal. Years pass quietly, not through catastrophe, but through repetition. The same fears, the same emotional loops, the same reactions, the same unresolved wounds, again and again and again. And most people die without ever meeting who they truly were beneath all of it. But here is where everything changes. The moment a human being becomes aware of the pattern weakens. Because awareness creates space, and inside that space, choice becomes possible. Carl Jung believed that until people confront their unconscious patterns, they will continue being controlled by them, and call it fate. The Stoics taught something similar thousands of years ago. You cannot control external events, but you can learn to observe your inner response before obeying it. And maybe that is real freedom. Not controlling life, but finally seeing clearly enough to stop being controlled by every impulse inside you. Because once you can observe anger without immediately becoming anger, something extraordinary begins happening. You separate from the machine. So, how do you actually begin changing this? Not theoretically, practically. The next time emotion rises, do not immediately obey it. Pause. Just 3 seconds. That tiny space interrupts unconscious momentum. Most damage in life happens inside. Unexamined reactions. Not evil. Not hatred. Reaction. Psychologists discovered something fascinating. When people clearly name an emotion, its intensity often decreases. So instead of, "I am angry," try, "I notice anger is present." That small language shift changes identity. You are no longer drowning inside the emotion. You are observing it. You are not the storm. You are the awareness watching the storm. Human beings constantly create narratives. They ignored me. They don't respect me. I always fail. But many of these stories are interpretations, not facts. So ask, what else could be true here? That question alone can dissolve enormous suffering. Most people cannot sit quietly anymore. The moment silence appears, they reach for stimulation. Phone, music, notifications, noise. Because silence forces confrontation. But silence is where awareness returns. Silence is where you begin hearing yourself clearly again. And slowly, something changes. Your reactions soften. Your awareness sharpens. Your relationships deepen. You stop needing to win every argument. You stop taking every disagreement personally. And for the first time in years, your mind begins to feel like a place you can safely live inside. Imagine waking up tomorrow and not immediately feeling mentally attacked by life. Imagine no longer being controlled by every emotion that enters your body. Imagine hearing criticism without collapsing internally. Imagine being alone without needing distraction to escape yourself. That is what awareness slowly gives back to a person. Presence, clarity, peace. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you are no longer unconscious inside it. And maybe that is the real transformation. Not becoming someone new, but finally meeting the person buried underneath the noise. Human nature is not evil, but it is deeply unconscious. And if you never examine it, it will quietly shape your entire life from the shadows. But awareness changes that. Awareness interrupts the cycle. Awareness creates freedom. If this awakened something inside you, stay close. This channel exists for people who want to see clearly. And we are only beginning.